Let's have a look at a 1000 LP Shaco main, shall we? Let's see what they're doing, these little box of tricks and disease and evil. No, I'm just kidding. Of course I'm not. This champion sucks asshole, but only if you happen to be an ADC, because if you happen to be one with the Shaco, the one with the Joker, the mind games you can inflict and the terror you cause basically is unprecedented in terms of the jungle roster. Maybe except for Tarek Yi Funnel. So, weird intro aside, look at this. We are doing the regular Raptors into the red mega box start. We have a Sona and an Ezreal versus a Kaiser and a Nautilus. And obviously here, the cheese is always the question. If you happen to be the Ezreal or the Sona, then please pay attention to the fact that the Shaco might try and do stuff. So even if you have lane prior shove, of course, don't disrespect him. Now, in this particular case, Virkayu gets a leash on the bottom side and goes to his Grump. That gets snacked. It's gone. Therefore, he is on the Raptors. I'm not a huge fan of this particular style, but the disease, if the enemy jungler does not think about what the Shaco might do, is obviously quite high. So the Shaco is not able to get anything from the walls, but we are able to get the flash. Now, how far do we want to go to make the Virkayu hate his life? That's the question. Do you want to do the red Raptors or the Raptors red Krugs bottom lane gank or into an invade? Let me pause, because if they start here and go down, then of course you can do this, get in their face that way. But certain junglers at level 3 do have a potency that maybe you don't particularly want to fight, in which case, do the red side quadrant, cut up, gank the Tryndamere, gank the Akali. Well, not the Akali, just the mid laner. Akali is a bit obviously more annoying. If you want help implementing this information into your own game, I have a free jungle improvement resource as well as a dedicated program where we have jungle video courses, jungle coaching VOD libraries, weekly free video content seen nowhere else, as well as Q&As and patch note rundowns, as well as a private jungle Discord. And if there's one thing I'm good at, it's converting junglers to gold, to emerald, to diamond, to master plus. If you want to climb faster than anyone you know, jungle diff every game you play, click the link below or head to Virkayu.gg. See, now he has no flash and he's low, so Shaco can really get in his face. And this, my friends, is true evil. It really is. This is what really messes with junglers, man. I love this. I love this. See, I do this with my champions when I can, but I don't always beat them 1v1, so I need them to be low from other things, right? In this case, Shaco can just cause this depression. And now instead of going for the red, you notice how he goes for the Krugs, because the Virkayu, if he hangs around, might try and sneak in for the red steal. And in which case, oh, where did Shaco go? He's gone. Surprise, Shaco's on the Krugs and killing that and then killing you. Now, he does go back to base respectfully, which is obviously the wise thing to do. The problem is, you're going to lose all of your camps here. So I'm not always a huge fan of actually going for this, because when you see the Shaco invade you and cringe you right here, you know the guy only did red and Raptors, right? You know he didn't do Krugs, because that's how, you know, the timing works out. He couldn't be that fast if he did. Which means just go to the bottom side and ideally look for a gank here. Ideally look for these Krugs, you know, if you can get a gank going, and obviously the Scuttle Crab. The problem is, as you would have seen, we'll just speed it up, you know, the blue side bottom lane is looking for the mid lane gank here and roaming up and obviously getting the kill on the Akali. So from Virkayu's perspective, it's pretty rough, you know. He can look to gank top lane because he's not going to win through farm. Shaco's obviously going to go ahead and take that Scuttle Crab. So Virkayu's like, well, I might as well try and kill the Croc, but it's a full Fury stacked Croc, and now you're in a bit of a compromised position. There's almost no good solution for the Virkayu. And obviously, when you're facing away from him, bonus damage, 2-shift does bonus damage as well, and he dies. That's why, as shitty as it is, I do prefer to go to the bottom side here, because I know at that 355-ish marker, there's going to be Raptors. I know that there's Krugs. I know that there's a Scuttle Crab. And if bottom lane is feeling promiscuous, maybe there can be a 3v1, 3v2 situation. You know what I mean? So bottom lane is over here. Shaco now leaves the base with boots and a longsword. You might think, well, that's not a particularly good base, but look, there's a vision. Hello, sir. Going down for the RNG Scuttle. Great. By killing him up here, right, and showing ourselves at the top lane, most junglers will go back to base. Or, sorry, not back to base, back to the blue side. The smart junglers are going back to base because they're saying, look, Virkayu is going to try and gank mid lane, try and gank bot lane, or try and steal my camps while I'm doing the blue side. So what we do is effectively say, no, I'm going to prevent you from that. Obviously, in this case, he's a smart cookie and says, I'm just going to go for the Grump. But if you don't go for the bottom side and the Shaco reads you, look at the disease that he is spreading. Oh my god, I'm enjoying this way too much. But I'm enjoying it because while I hate Shaco because of the stuff, I love jungle denial. I love good jungle denial, and I like smart jungle denial, and that's what you're witnessing here. So, do you need to be Shaco to be this? No, you don't. You can be Kindred and do this kind of stuff. You can be any aggressive jungler and do this kind of stuff, provided you understand exactly where they're going next, understand exactly what their decision making is and is going to be. And honestly, when you get a perfect read on that in game, 1000 RP. Easily possible, right? Although on the US and other servers, 1000 RP is not always challenging now. It should be, but times have changed, have they not? Now, Virkayu obviously says, phew, I can go to the top side, and you're not going to be able to follow him all the way up Mount Everest, right? We show up here, as was forcing himself in the other direction, but we're not able to get anything going, so that's reasonable, safe laning by the bottom side. And Virkayu's now going, goodness gracious, can I go and steal his blue side? Yes, you can. So SHACO says, look, I'm not even going to worry about my red side. I'm just going to go and prevent him from taking my blue side, because 99%, that's what he's going to want to do. We don't know that he isn't, right? We think he is. We don't know that he isn't. Now he shows here he's not going for that. He says, let me just go for the level 6 on the Orianna. She has no summons. She has no TP. Akali's level 6. Let me get something back, because you're not going to be able to play the Clown Fiesta game, counter jungling game, and win. The only way you get out ahead of the SHACO here is by really forcing a gank and getting yourself experience that way through lane shoves. And of course he shows up here, little chuck of the 2 shift plus an ignite, and tick, 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 good night. And now we know that the Virkayu has gone up back to this side, going to the Krugs. So we say, could we chase him down further? We could, but that's a level 7 fidget spinner, and probably should just leave him alone, especially if he's ult up. Renekton could definitely be solid in this case, but why give a 2v2 potential to a guy that's absolutely screwed? Because he's going to do the Krugs and go back to base, and then have to go to the bottom side. So maybe we can finally clean up this blue side quadrant and go down. Let's have a look to see if he does. Ah, he doesn't. He shows top lane clearing that tri-ward, which means we know Virkayu was in the vicinity. Now, did Virkayu go back to base? Is he waiting to go for the gank anyway? Goes back to base. We know this, but please bear in mind, for most of your games, it's very frequent that you might see an Emerald, a Diamond Jungler even just kind of chill a little bit. Yeah, I went back to base. That's me. I went back to base. Haha, I didn't. Surprise. But usually that's better in a lane where it's not a Renekton. So, most cases, once they're seen, they will go back to base. SHACO finishes the blue side quadrant. Now, jungle denial outside in rule. Virkayu's coming to the bottom side. There's an RNG scuttle here. I'm going to do my blue side quadrant. Take this, right? And now we can get in their face because we have bot prio. This is the thing. You and I will say, but I never have bot prio, which is bullshit. You do, you just don't use it. The bot prio in this moment is being used perfectly by the SHACO, right? Forcing a rotation of the enemy bot lane, compromising them. We don't have smite up, unfortunately, but we do have ult up, so we can activate the clone army. And as Palpatine smiles in glee, we're able to check out a 2 shift there. We're going to get that slow and nothing else. Oops, I'm clicked on the wrong one. I was fooled. So keep an eye on this. Oh, here we go. 2 shift is active. Oh, no. You don't want to face the other direction. Man up. Face the 2 shiv. Face the other direction, guys. It's more stuff. And he already gets above 30% HP threshold anyway when you're that low. So maybe that's something just to think about a little bit when you face the SHACOs. And no one ever does, because you're like, I need to create space. He's like, it's a point-and-click ability. What space? Nothing will save you. Now, where's Virkayu going to go next, my jungle denial friends? Most likely, the guy's going to go topside. He's got red Raptors plus a Herald. Maybe he can repeat gank mid lane. We see the ping. That's unfortunate. Compromised. But I think, logically, if you're the SHACO here, it would make sense, right? The guy's got no blue side camps. It's all warded up. The bottom lane is doomed. SHACO might be doing the dragon, might be doing the red side. I might as well go to my top side and try get stuff. The thing is, though, obviously, the SHACO knows this because he's a good player. And so Orianna goes that direction and dies. Never understand this. It's really irritating. It's like SHACO's top side. I know it's not always, you know, possible, but like, look at this from her perspective. Shoving it up. All right. She sees the Akali. Virka's waiting very patiently here. She goes in. And now she just decides to full commit send, but she does have flash here. So it's very simple for her to get out. I know she thinks she can turn the kill, but is it even worth? Right, because the Virkayu will clean her up regardless, even if she kills the Akali, and that's not going to help us in general, because we want the Virkayu to stay out of the game, because the guy's good. So, valiant attempt, but at the same time, maybe we should be flashing for safety down. Obviously, bottom lane's not on the picture here. So, Virkayu gets another free pass. Well, experience-wise, he didn't actually get anything of value. And we'll take this, because we cleared a ward, he saw us. Now, could you keep the pressure up here and go into his jungle, try and push him out of the red side, take those camps? Yes, you could. But the risk of that is the Akali has TP, the Orianna is dead. Here we go. Hello, I'm now comfortable beating you 1v1. And that's where SHACO becomes extraordinarily difficult to face. Everything he's done up until this point is to say, right, I've kind of done the stuff that's going to frustrate you. Now I'm just going to run at you and kill you every single time you step out. And that's even worse for the Virkayu. So the poor chap is not having a good game, I'll tell you that much. But that's why I like reverse clears. That's why I like misleading Shakos, and I don't like doing anything obvious. Getting a leash here tells him everything he needs to know, and you signed your death warrant there against a good Shako. So I will always assume that every Shako will play like this. You should as well. What pathing can you do to prevent it? Reverse clears, starting leashless, having a fake leash on one side, all of this stuff works really well. And in Challenger, honestly, you can do that. You can really do that. You just say, hey, I'm gonna solo red, or solo raptors, depending on your champion. Bot lane, could you fake leash a little bit, please? And just ward, you know, my blue at like 120, or I can do that at 105, 108, still start leashless on the top side. All of this helps misdirect the Shako. But when you do things, obviously, you're signing the sadness bill. Viego shot up with the E there. Obviously now Shaco's not only focused on keeping the Viego down and upset about things, but also elevating the game state and making sure he can never get back into it. And that's what good Shakos do, and bad Shakos do not do. Obviously, Viego does show up here rotating. We did see him. We're going to chuck that one out there. We get that slow, and one more auto attack. Viego's going to ult in here. We get the Q, we get the auto suck, we get the W, we get another one. So a little bit of an overcommit. We did see the Viego here possibly miss. Good rotation. A little bit of greed from the Shako. But as you can see, his mind is fractured, his reality is tainted, and he does not exist in this game at all. He's only miserable. That chase down was, yeah. You just gotta come back kill, a shutdown on the Shako. Why are you overtly chasing and causing your team to be upset? Is what it is. Sun is out of position. She's going to use a stopwatch here, which means that's basically down for the next 10,000 years. Kaiser's in the back line here. Arcane Shift in for the Ezreal to try and get onto her. He is exhausting her, and he's now out of position. Will flash, order goes through. He dies. And now Sona should be able to hit this. One more hook, please. No more summoners. Ah, the wave. See? That change early in the year with the faster waves. Right here as well. Also good to pay attention to when that next wave is coming. I totally have not flashed in for a hook in those situations, or a stun, and hit a wave. Totally, not me. None of us have, right? Yeah, that took a little bit. See, the Trinity is level 10, he's down, but now the Viego is close, but look, you just cannot go anywhere. He just cannot go anywhere. Does the Trinity really? Why? Just leave. And again, you're facing the other direction, so pop. Carly does rotate up and kill the Shako. Obviously, that is a thing that is now occurred, as one can see. Okay, Spaceman. But I don't know why the Trinity goes back in here. You just have to accept that this is most likely gone. And Viego, again, another possibility is just to say, look, can I maybe just sequence down, get all my camps? Control your jungle first and foremost in these situations. If Shaco's busy, try and do things that allow you to start to control camps a little bit, which he hasn't done. That's why he's down almost 20 CS. Yeah, the Glacial Augment Nautilus, we're watching this one. With great interest, I might add. So, we have Ghostblade completed. This is the S plus build we can talk about, but that's because the item is S plus and basically anyone that can afford to build it. Basically, even a mage could. No, don't really. Don't do that, please. We're not that kind of channel. We're not Ultimate Bravery Shaker. All that can be done as well. So, Arenas are rotating down to the bottom side. Viego's half HP and chunked. We're level 9. He is catching up in experience, like raw experience, but his gold amount is 4.4 to 5.9. It is a gargantuan lead. There he is. There he goes. Nice flank from the Shaker. I love this. This is so important. There we go. Good job. And turn on the Sona. There we go. Beautiful. So when we talk about Shako being a selfish carry, he can be. But a good Shako here is just enabling for his entire team. And this flank was beautiful. Assassins, Evelynns, Twitches, Rengars, Kha'Zixes. This flank is what you look for. And Shako mains, the one-tricks, are some of the best at finding those angles. Too many other Assassin players are not so good. And Shadow Assassin King gets a free pass because he doesn't have to think. Just presses E. So, RNG Scuttle here. This guy decides to die fighting the Orianna. Alright. Renekton gets the shove in, which means we should see Viego top lane. God damn it. Couldn't let me look good for a second, Viego. Well, he doesn't make himself look good at all this game. 5-2-5. 10 out of 14 KP. Shoved the wave up. 89 CS. Compromises on econ heavily early, but it doesn't matter because, as I say a lot lately, if your peak carry or fed potential, like maximum amount of CS golden kills you could have hypothetically in a game is 100. And the same for the enemies, 100. Who would be better off? That depends on your champions and your matchups. But if I'm only at 60 to 75 out of 100 possibilities, and I make him 40, I win. So even though I'm less peak usefulness, he is so far away from even remotely usefulness that he's just useless. You follow that one? Make the enemy jungle as weak as possible, and even if you're weaker than your Optimum self, you are still ahead of him, and so you can abuse him, control the map, and obviously play for your team. That's the idea, right? So it doesn't matter that this blue side sits here for the first 8 minutes. It doesn't matter that we don't take our Krugs. It doesn't matter that our sequencing isn't juicy. All that matters is that that guy's down by 2,000 gold, and I'm laughing at him while he's crying. Michael Jordan memes on that guy's face. In fact, I wish I could make those kinds of funny thumbnails, but I cannot. If I were to do that with a Shaco laughing evilly, with an evil face rather, at Viego with Michael Jordan's eyes crying, then no one will watch it. Is what it is. But that's where my mind goes in game. You think about this thumbnail. Being a creator sometimes is a curse because you're having a great game and all you think about is the thumbnail. Or, hey, this is good content. You don't always think about, I'm enjoying this game, this is super fun. Which gets a bit fatiguing, but it is what it is. The Trinity does have his ult up though. Does he press the buttons? He does actually press the buttons. Shaco is now zoning with the Herald. And now you're looking at this situation and you're like, well, his lanes did good, no? Well, the Orianna did die, alright, which he shouldn't have. The bottom lane have done well, yes. But that's the lesson here. You, very often, and I need you to listen to this carefully, it's very important. If you, simply put, always figure out that when you have these kinds of games that your laners are the ones inting, then it's just one of those losses. Like, if all the lanes here just straight up inted by themselves with no Viego interaction, that's it. But that doesn't happen as much as you think. Because what the Shaco does here is allow the lanes to play out in his favor, because he forces the enemy laners to rotate, he forces the enemy laners to be thinking about him, he forces the enemy laners to be crying or yelling at their jungler. They're emotionally compromised watching the Viego get beat up like this. Or, the lanes simply were going to win anyway because of matchup and skill issue, but the jungler couldn't interact. If the Viego was allowed to gank these lanes and control these lanes, right? All of a sudden, maybe the Ezreal and Sona win because he spammed ganks bottom lane. Maybe Akali snowballs so out of control, no one can contain her because he's able to gank mid lane while the Shaco's farming, which is probably what most of you were doing. So by keeping the enemy jungler out of the game and just remove it entirely from playing, you let your laners play confidently, abuse their matchup properly, abuse their skill advantage properly, and if they weren't going to have those things, you can gank them, which you did. You forced the enemy laners who are better to rotate and deal with you, which they did. So think about that, alright? That's why this is so important. That's why I talk about it a lot in the courses. Jungle denial is the biggest thing I talk about, and then obviously jungle misleads, right? For me. Like if you don't have these strong matchups, then you have to mislead, misdirect, and prevent the Shaco from doing this to you. You know the Shaco's going to want to do it, so how can we stop it? And ultimately, there's a lot of content on that as well. I've been making content a long time. Go to the main channel video. There's an anti-invade guide. Literally, I'll link it below. There's an anti-invade guide about how to avoid all of this Shaco nonsense and piss and maintain your sanity, you know? And now, obviously, if your team are griefing a little bit, just go for the 1-3-1. Obviously, to beat a 1-3-1, enemy team knows they have to full-on engage, but we'll just try and rinse this Tryndamere. Obviously, that's not the one you necessarily want to go for because he has the ultimate. We are at least able to smash this out of the park, kill the Sona, and the Tryndamere does die as well, so it's okay. At this point, I don't think this game is in question, but it is interesting to talk about, you know? Really fun to talk about this kind of stuff. I don't like the champion, obviously, for the reasons that his existence like this makes my life miserable. My champion pool cannot survive against this. But as an objective jungle content creator and an analyst and coach or whatever, I've always enjoyed junglers who have a unique sense of mind gamage. I think it's good, because you don't need to be Shaco to do any of this stuff. You know, most Kindreds don't have enough of this inside here to really punch the champion out to the next level, and it's good again. And you would have noticed while I was having that whole side point, the guy just full cleared down, rotated here, pushed the Herald up, because now it's time to go macro gaming. You can't only play PvP. When there's a little down moment, go ahead, full clear down, shove a wave, push up, get turrets, use the Herald. All of these things are vital to actually closing out. And now we just rotate to the top side. Orianna shows, Renekton's in the bottom wave. We should get a free Lord Baron. Some of the last weeks of him looking like a giant purple worm before he starts to look like an actual void monster. Now here, be careful. If your team's ready to go, please join them. Don't you know, go back to base and farm this up and go here. Well, your team's like, well, I don't need to base. None of us have enough gold. We have resources. Can we just shove an end? Like, us going back to base here is not conducive to anything. We need to stay out after the Baron. And obviously the SHACO disagrees a little bit, so he's gone down here to get the red, but it is a Hextech portal, so we can join in. And in these kinds of games, you are permitted to have fun. Permit yourself, but just be wary that in some games, see this? Right? Now he's flashed out. Now imagine your whole team gets aced while you're doing the dragon. Guys, why'd you die? Yeah, but why are you down? You don't need to be doing this, right? You could easily control all of these camps upways, shadow, and things like this. You could be pushing this one. The dragon's great, but we don't really need to play a soul elder game. Like, it's really not that important. So I think if you pushed here instead, while your team pushed here and you had 1-3-1 again, that's better. Because then you force a rotation here, because it's an inhib, your team can siege here. That's the objective better macro play. But considering how fed we are and how fed the game is and the elo, you know, you can afford to farm. Your teammates are not always going to be idiots. And hello, son. Yeah, that's why I hate it. Yep, there's the build. And the last whisper. It's very strong, this champion, when executed correctly. His win rate, I don't put him in best junglers anymore because he's not objectively one of the best junglers, but if you are a good SHACO player, he is really potent. Like, there's nothing stopping you from getting challenger other than your own skill in the champion. And that's a reality that's tough to swallow sometimes. And they're really just cruising here a little bit. Renekton shows, yeah, they're dancing now, so. Yeah, a little bit of a Fortnite. Kai'Sa kills Akali, we go back farming. Yeah, we finally push it, thank you very much. That's it, that's the pressure you need. Good night, Ezreal. And that should end the game. But a really, really good example of how you can exert that pressure. Evil shit. Thank you very much for watching. Virkayu GG for all your jungle needs, and as always, I'll see you all in the next one.